Hey guys, I know it's been a week. I went on a little trip. It's not the big trip. Big trip's next month. That's not why we're here today. We're here today for book club. Now, on this trip, I was able to see one movie with my family. If you ever go on a trip with me, I always bring some alternative way of watching content. Especially because when I was packing for this trip, there was, things on the horizon and the radar said there was the chance of another tropical storm, another adjacent hurricane, weather formations, all that stuff. And when you're in an area like that, first sign of heavy weather, even if you are, even if you don't have to evacuate, what's the first thing that's going to happen? Internet goes out. And regardless of what's on Netflix, regardless of what's streaming, it really only matters what you have in your hand. So I always bring some way of watching local content every trip that I take. I remember telling my wife on our first vacation, was actually our honeymoon together, that she'd never have to worry about being stuck with hotel TV ever again, because until I'm dead in the ground, I'm gonna bring something that we can watch on our own terms. And we did our normal movie roulette. I'll show you guys what a movie roulette looks like in a later video. But we ended up landing on 2009's Sherlock Holmes, which I picked up at McKay's for $1.95 in trade credit. Now, I had not seen this movie since theaters. And I will tell you, most of this movie really holds up. I ended up giving it about a 3.5 out of 5 for all of the reasons I'm going to be talking about. First things first, before Robert Downey Jr. was the second coming, and before he decided that he was too big to ever be uncomfortable in the Iron Man suit, let's write out reasons why I gotta wear this helmet. Let's do this, that, and the other thing. Let's not do anything for a while, so then Marvel will come back with the big check. That Robert Downey Jr. When he was still trying to get his way back into Hollywood and accepted, he was doing things. And what he's doing in this movie really works. He's quirky. He's not Tony Stark. He's not, cool, calm, and confident. This man is bouncing off the walls. He's crazy. And it really works. I've got the sequel over there that I can't wait to watch some point down the line. But he is matched in every way by Jude Law. Jude Law is exceptional in this. I don't know why Jude Law is still not the biggest star in Hollywood. Honestly. I know he's in what? What's he got coming up? Is he in a Marvel project? I know he's in that Star Wars adjacent thing for streaming, but Jude Law is great in this movie. Rachel McAdams. I love Rachel McAdams. I have not seen her put in a bad performance in anything that I've seen. But what do you have? What do you have in this movie to help round it out? You got a villain. Okay, who are we getting to be our villain? We got Mark Strong! Mark Strong! He's fantastic in this. I will tell you though, he's wearing a dental appliance, and you can tell he can't move his mouth as well, so I'm here to, He's got to do something, because they gave him a snaggletooth, and he's not being able to hold his mouth correctly as he talks, but this movie really does hold up. Now, when this movie was over, and we were all giving our, thoughts on the film, it's very uncommon that my mom likes a movie this old, because for her, it's got to be 18 weeks to 18 months old. If it's older than that, she doesn't think it's going to hold up. It's a running joke in my family that if it's, if the coffee pot has gone cold, the movie doesn't age. The movie doesn't age as well, essentially. She's got a very tight window. It's got to be new. She doesn't rewatch movies. She's always only watching new things. I've got less things to talk about when I visit my mom because I'm not watching a lot of new stuff and I'm not watching anything on streaming, mostly. So, she'll be like, oh, yeah, I saw that. Whenever it came out. Meanwhile, I'm like, you gotta see it again. It's pretty good. I'm not seeing all of Guy Ritchie's films. I still need to see Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. It's been probably 10, 12 years since I've seen Snatch. I remember thinking it was okay then, but now that I'm on a little bit of a Jason Statham kick, I'm sure I'll like Snatch even more. So I don't know how much of this movie is just all of the parts together. Because I will tell you, this is going to remain. This is one of those franchises that in 5 years, if they haven't done so already, I'm telling you, Warner Brothers is going to stoke those coals and they're going to write a massive check to get Robert, to get Jude. I'm sure they can get Rachel McAdams. I hate that she's not at the top of her game anymore. I think she should really be only in A-list titles. This movie really does hold up. Let me go ahead and tell you a couple things that I really like about this. Is the way they handle the Sherlock Holmes idea. They don't make him Batman. The fights in this movie are very much Arkham game-esque, but that was new at the time. When he's in the fights and he's figuring out exactly how it's going to go, and they watch it, speed up and slow down, and then watch it happen real quick. That was new and novel at the time. I really think they needed one more of those near the end of the movie, because they do it once at the beginning and once near the middle, and they don't really pay it off at the end. Like if he had, I don't know, if I'm trying to improve on this movie, get it from a 3.5 up, I really think they needed a way to either spin on that, either have him think it out and it not go well. I think that would have been a great way to end the second act, when they have the explosion scene, if you know what I'm talking about. I think him misjudging something would have been an interesting character moment that could have really led into the third act and a self-redemption, essentially. But the movie doesn't do that. I do like that there is no supernatural element. Spoilers, but there's no supernatural element. It's all just the rich and powerful trying to become more rich and more powerful and fooling simple-minded people who believe in magic, essentially. That stuff really works. What doesn't work is the CG in this movie. The CG in this movie has aged terribly. When that ship goes into the water, it looks worse than a PlayStation 2 cutscene. Like, not even a good PlayStation 2 cutscene. I'm talking like a 99-cent loose disc GameStop PlayStation 2 cutscene. That scene looks terrible. I got this movie for $1.95. I would love to watch this movie again. It's not an immediate, oh, I want to watch this again right now. But you know what this does make me want to watch? The sequel, which is in the holding area over there. I can't wait to watch this movie's sequel. Shocker. You make a good movie and you tell me there's another one, I'm going to want to see it. I'm going to want to see it. I hate that we never got the third one. I hate that it has been, 13, 14 years, and they never got that third one off the ground. I know we have difficulties, like Robert Downey Jr. is the most expensive star in Hollywood. That's probably the only reason. One of the reasons why I was really wanting to watch this version of the movie is I knew after the sequel had come out and they had actually properly cast Moriarty, is that they had gone back, and on the streaming version, you can see the new actor, great performance, Jared Harris from what I remember, but you can see Jared Harris overdub the character in the first movie that he's not in. And that's a little too much George Lucasing for me. That's too much, let's make the Emperor look like the Emperor and less like how he looks in Empire. No, 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 no. I wanted to see the movie that I saw in 2009. I don't want to see what you want me to think I saw in 2009. But with that, Sherlock Holmes is not going in the McKay's bag. Sherlock Holmes has secured its place on my shelf. Now, this is not my favorite Sherlock Holmes movie by any means. I'm still trying to hunt down a good price on a used copy of Without a Clue. I have not seen that movie in many years. I remember... We're getting close to when the cat gets hungry. Come here, Smelly. See, we're getting close to when the cat gets hungry, so I'm going to have to do this next little bit with her in my arms. I really am interested in what comes of this franchise. Now that the entirety of Sherlock Holmes is in the public domain, because even in this time, when this movie came out, there was enough of the Sherlock Holmes rights for the last couple books that were not yet in the public domain. So if you made an official Sherlock Holmes property, and you wanted to use any of those elements, you had to get the blessing of the estate. Now enough time has passed that all of Sherlock Holmes is firmly in the public domain, and you can do whatever you want with the property. I've got a lot of Sherlock Holmes movies that I've always wanted to see. That Death by Decree, The Private Life of Sherlock Holmes. I want to see... I'll put you down, Smelly. I want to go back and see the Basil Rathbone ones. You know, Sherlock Holmes is one of my favorite characters in all of media. This isn't my favorite adaptation of the character, because I think, you know, they make him too cool, even though he's, you know, bouncing off the walls. But we did get some proper, you know, Victorian era disguises for him to use, which I appreciated. Because even though Sherlock Holmes is the master of disguise, you know, he can only use so much of what's existing in his time. There's a lot of Sherlock Holmes media I've been looking forward to rewatching. I've been hoping on one of these future McKay's trips that I go in and I see Batman the Brave and the Bold on DVD. Because I remember when I was younger, back when you could stream things on Cartoon Network's website for free before they realized they could charge for it, there was a Batman Sherlock Holmes crossover in Brave and the Bold, and that made middle school me gleeful. I'd love to see an Elseworlds movie of that, you know, just dive fully in. And if they don't, I know exactly when Batman is going in the public domain, and I will have with that what I will. Sherlock Holmes is going on the shelf. It is not going in the bag. Cat's hungry, but it's not her dinner time, so I can't feed her yet. So all I can do is look at her. Smelly, I'm going to pick you up again. Not going to like that. Come here, Smelly. She's patient. I'll tell her that. She's patient. She's just, she just wants food. I can't feed her yet. But she's just so special. Had to block the light from getting in her little eyes. I'll tell you the cat just farted. Let me put her down. I'll tell you, somebody who's new to YouTube and still figuring this out, you have no idea what video is going to do what. When I released the video I made on Sundown and Hail Caesar, it sat at 0 views for over a week. Then I looked at my wife and I said, you don't have to watch the video, but could you see if maybe it just didn't render properly? Could you just like skim through and figure it out? She said, sure. And then she watched it. Then I went on vacation and it became my most watched video over the course of a week. It's my worst thumbnail. I'm still trying to figure out thumbnails. But while I was on vacation, I wanted to set a personal challenge for myself. I love hunting for Blu-rays. I love hunting for bloodles, as my wife says. I love looking for bloodles. I love looking for movies. And there's not that many opportunities for this anymore. As more and more brick and mortar stores kick them to the curb, Redbox closed, you're not able to find physical media nearly as easy. Especially if you're somewhere like the Outer Banks. Now, I'm sure if I wanted to, I could have made it all the way up to the Target. Maybe the Target could have had something for me. Didn't see anything. We briefly drove through there. There's not like a boutique media shop. There's some record stores, but I don't want to waste my time at a record store, especially if I'm looking for Blu-rays, Record store, if you're lucky, most of them, they might have DVDs, they might have concert films, but it's very seldom they're going to have Blu-rays. Another thing about being down there at the coast is there are very few thrift stores. There's not a Goodwill anywhere in the islands. There are some thrift stores, but they're more near the top of the island. And we all know thrift stores work weird hours. So especially when I find cats come back in. We were passing a Hotline thrift store, and we were there on time, so we walked in, and it was a pretty decent little thrift store. I didn't get any videos or anything, but what I did find was the smallest Blu-ray section. They had 3 Blu-rays. And I ended up picking 2 of the 3 of them. One of them, the one I didn't get, was it had to be terrible. It was a no-name, recent Kelsey Grammer film. The only reason why I didn't get it, there wasn't any case art, so it was just the loose disc in the regular Blu-ray case. And even though I said last time you all saw me that I'm just borderline above getting the loose discs in a spindle or in a bag, I want something on my shelf, and this was not the movie that was worth me, This was not a movie I could tell by looking at it, because I hadn't heard of it. I'm a big Kelsey Grammer fan. So it's got to be like Money Plane adjacent, but not even as fun as Money Plane. For it to end up here. I always love finding movies at thrift stores because it lets you know, you can start to piece together, were these movies bought together? Were these movies traded in together? But I picked up the other 2. There's a reason why I picked up both of these movies. Don't let you all thinking I have a problem or anything. I have a problem, but, this isn't the main reason of that problem. The first movie I picked up is Cobra, starring Stallone, and I picked up both of these movies today for $2 each. Came to $4.24 with tax, I believe. I spent actual money on them. First thing I hate about finding movies outside of my normal places is sometimes, I had this at Second and Charles too, though when I went last year, 2 years ago, is they will tape the case shut with like packing tape, like masking tape, that clear stuff. I know it's to keep people from stealing, but all it really does is just ruin a lot of stuff. Also, it might hinder me from purchasing if I wasn't on a mission of self-finding Blu-rays, especially for movies that I don't normally see at these types of places. I want to look at the disc. Is the disc in good condition? Is this even the correct disc for the movie? I'm not hamming it up. This is not wanting to come off. I'm looking to see if I still have scissors around my desk area. So I picked up Cobra. I'll talk about what I know about the movie while I try to release it from its prison. It is a Stallone action film with one of those iconic 80s posters. About 70% of it off. I still got to go back for that last little bit. It's got one of those iconic 80s posters that's a very good painting. That last bit off. I'm not playing it up for you all. I hate when they tape the cases shut. I understand why they do it, but all it does is make me damage the case getting the movie out. I got a little blemish on the case now, but it's got one of those iconic, 80s posters. Crime is a disease, meet the cure. This is the standard release. I don't want you all think I got too lucky and somehow ended up with a Shout Factory release at a thrift store for $2. I'm not that lucky. But yeah, this is the standard, black Warner Brothers disc. I can't wait to see this movie just because it looks like I'm not expecting it to be Commando. Nothing else can be Commando. Commando was such a great surprise. But I've not seen that many Stallone films. I still need to see Rocky. I know this isn't that same caliber as Rocky, but I wanted to see it. It was a recognizable enough title I hadn't seen. I know people hold at least the poster in high regard because I see this poster a lot on YouTube and other places. But when you're at a thrift store, especially a non-chain thrift store, you do not know what the credit card minimum is going to be. And I had a sneaking suspicion that $2 was not going to be enough. And I didn't have any cash on me for this trip. So I needed to leave here with something else. And I told you already, I picked up another Blu-ray. Now, I am putting all of my faith in Joe Ramone with this one. Because I listened to his podcast, and he said that this wasn't that bad. He didn't say it was great, but the other movie I picked up on my vacation is a little movie that lost somebody an Oscar by the name of Norbit. I wasn't planning on picking up Norbit. I was never planning on picking up Norbit. Oh, this tape's coming off much easier. They used far less of the masking tape. This was a disservice to Cobra how much easier this tape's coming off. I remembered seeing this poster a lot when I was a child. This was one of those movies that for it seemed like 8 months was at the end of Target checkouts on DVD. Everyone's like, you gotta see Norbit, but I never heard anybody talk about it outside of those posters. And then you find out through osmosis that, this came out right after Dreamgirls did, and supposedly this is the movie that was so bad that it lost Eddie Murphy the Oscar. But I also know that this is the last of the big dual role costume comedies. Especially for someone like Eddie Murphy. This is what kept him from ever playing the Nutty Professor again. Got that tape off. There's tape at the top. Why is there so much tape on this thing? No one's stealing Norbit. So yeah, I grabbed Norbit in case I was below the credit card minimum. Because sometimes you don't know until you get to the counter and they say it's a $3 minimum for a credit card, and then you have to panic. So at least I wanted to know what I wanted, or at least know what I had to get before I got up there. So yeah, the proud owner of Norbit. One of these days I'll get to it, but this is a DreamWorks movie? Hold on. DreamWorks Pictures presents? Okay, I somehow completely forgot that Terry Crews and Cuba are in this. That's crazy. Okay, well, one of these days, I'm going to stand here in front of the camera. Now, I'm checking Cobra real quick because Norbit's pristine. One of these days, I'm going to stand here in front of you all, and I'm either going to be talking to you about Cobra, or I'm going to be talking to you all about Norbit. And the fun thing about doing this is I don't even know when I get to watch any of these. Now, it's not like Norbit's at the top of my list, but yeah, that's it for this week. Thank you all for joining me for Book Club. Oh, Shoot, I had a topic this week. Hold on. Let's take this back. When I was on vacation, I had a headline come across my phone. And I try to avoid the news as much as possible. All news. Can't even read Hollywood news anymore. The one place I could go. But, I saw a headline that made me irrationally upset, and I had to complain to my wife about it. Now, if you're weird like me, you hate bringing up your hyperfixations to your wife, because nobody else is stuck thinking like you. But did you all see that headline where that Amazon-backed AI firm is going to be using AI to recreate the 45 missing minutes of footage of Orson Welles' follow-up to Citizen Kane? And they're doing the whole ordeal, okay? We're talking fully AI-generated shots. We're talking superimposed faces over real actors' performances that they're going to bring in. All of this. Remember when Rogue One came out and we were worried that that was going to be it? That we were just going to get everybody's likeness, superimposed on somebody else? Remember deepfakes? Remember, we can't forget about the new James Dean film that's never had any updates in 6 years. Never forget that they announced a new film with James Dean in it, okay? Never forget the horrible deepfake Audrey Hepburn chocolate commercial, okay? Remember when that was all we had to worry about? But now we've got AI firms going and recreating lost films. That's horrifying to me. Because AI's already creating more content than we can ever make in human hands, in human time. And now we've got to worry. Now we have to worry about AI creating lost media? Are you kidding me? And they've already been on the defensive. They've already said, oh, it's a non-commercial work. Oh, it's proof of concept. I hope the Orson Welles estate has something to sue them with. As much as I hate Warner Brothers, I hope they can find a way to take this down. The film's not in the public domain as far as I'm concerned. You can't do that. Do you have any idea the ramifications if we start using AI to generate lost media? That defeats the entire purpose, the entire thrill of finding lost media or finding workarounds. Remember when they could only find audio of those lost episodes of Doctor Who and they hired animation teams to recreate them as best as they could in a stylistic way? Remember when we find out about things for years and then something will come up in the ether through lost media? Like the DreamWorks animated Frankenstein film? Now we've got to worry about the second something's discovered that it's AI generated? We have to keep the toothpaste in the tube. We can't allow this to happen. Or else there's nothing left. There's nothing left. We can always pine over what the film could have been. We can always have those discussions. And it would be different if Orson were around. Like if Francis Ford Coppola wanted to recreate Apocalypse Now, Redux. Or if he wanted to create Megalopolis. Or create elements he never had the ability to do. Okay, if he was involved and he wanted to create something fully using AI, that's fine because he's the artist behind the work. We can't have an AI firm try to tell us what Orson Welles was trying to say. Because at that point, it's completely soulless. There's like corporate soulless, and then there's literally soulless. And an AI firm recreating lost film based off of prompting, you can't direct AI. The only way I'm fine with this is if they release every single botched version of it. Okay? I want to see every time the prompt failed. I want to see every time someone's generated with too many fingers. I want to see every single time somebody starts clipping through the table. I want to see AI assume everything becomes violent and we have explosions in the background of this film from 19 whatever. Okay? The cats hear me getting heated and she hates when she hears me yell. Soon, Smelly. But yeah, that's my short topic this week. I really hope this never happens. Because it's like I told you all in an earlier video. When Lionsgate was talking about using AI to possibly re-edit their films, and then that's just a moment of time before they release it on the back catalog. And then we get, R-rated films re-edited for children. And it's just, I don't understand. Who wants to watch this? I like watching movies. I like watching film. Film is such a collaborative effort. And when you watch films and then you start to read films as you watch them, you really understand all of the magic and the collaboration. But if you just have somebody typing prompts into a machine, there's nothing original there. Because the machine has, copyright law has no meaning for the AI firms. They have infinite money. They won the lawsuit. So, the AI, it might create something, and it might be an homage. If Orson Welles never intended for there to be an homage, I don't want to see it. Because how many times have you seen something AI generated, and it looks just enough like this person? Or it looks like the scene from a movie. That's not what you typed in, but that's what the AI spit out. And it removes the human element from an art piece, from a fully human art piece. It takes a lot of human effort to make a movie. And if we just type a prompt in and we get something, it's like when they did that IMAX AI Film Festival. Oh, that made me feel ill. I don't understand why anybody would pay money for an AI film festival. Projected on IMAX. That's not what IMAX should be used for. I look over at the movies on my shelf that I haven't seen yet. And, again, even if it's a movie that I know is not going to be great, at least I know it's done. At least I know as long as it's sitting on that shelf or that shelf over there, nobody can monkey with it. I'm already not the biggest fan of HDR. I'm already not the biggest fan of Dolby Vision because too many things have been altered or changed or reinterpreted well past anyone's time. I can really understand what Orson felt. Because it almost already happened to him while he was alive. We cannot let the AI firms get away with this. Much like how Orson Welles had to fight tooth and nail, had to go back to the original contracts for Citizen Kane to keep Ted Turner from colorizing Citizen Kane. We have one short scene as proof that it was ever in the works. Ted Turner was colorizing all of his old movies that he had the rights to. And it was disgusting. Taking the most beautiful films shot in black and white and adding horrible Technicolor to films never intended for color. But at least then, the movie at least had the same images that was captured in the camera. But the second you let an AI firm recreate an Orson Welles film, it's all over. It's all over. We have a couple canaries in the coal mine. And I'm really hoping the gas doesn't get to them. But with that, again, I didn't want to try to end things on a downer note, but a topic like that really does just get my brain, gets my wheels spinning, gets me heated. Yeah. But with that, thank you all for watching this week of the Book Club for Movies. I hope to see you next time. Who knows what we'll see then? Hopefully, not an AI-generated Orson Welles film. But with that, have a good week, everybody. I'll see you next week or next time, depending on how things go, on the Book Club for Movies. Thank you so much.